There we are.
All good.
All good. Thank you very much. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm always excited to talk about money. I know money is one of those words. It can cause some fear in people, some discomfort in people. Sometimes we say, oh, we don't talk about these things. But technically, money is sort of what moves through our world in exchange. So it has to be exchanged for something, has to be moving through. We're giving it away, we're receiving it. The open hand both gives and receives. And it's really important to understand that money basically has no power. It just has an energy that we give it. So this is all about practical prosperity. 4, 14, and 7. I'm going to explain those in a couple minutes because it's from the book, The Science of Getting Rich. And we're going to have a course on that for 5 weeks starting this Thursday. I just wanted to give you a little thought. I was looking through as I make slides up, I find some font that I like. And lo and behold, this font is called Dreaming Out Loud Pro, which I thought was hysterical. It's like, that's exactly what we need to do. Dream out loud and do it well and do it often. It's worthwhile. I thought we might start with a bit of fun. So I always go to Google and I look up prosperity and money and different things I want to see and different speakers that I like and folks from Unity that might have a thought about it. And this is one of the things that came up. What is your prosperity name? So you go to the first letter of your first name. So that becomes your first name. And the month you're born in becomes your last name. So maybe you just want to find a second and type it in the chat, or if you want to come off of mute and say what your name is. Mine happens to be Blessed Blessing, which is a little bit of a alliteration, but I'll take it. Anybody got a fun name? Come on off mute.
Blessed Money.
Blessed Money. Good, good. I like it. Anybody else want to share?
Affluent cornucopia.
Good.
Affluent money.
All right.
Income luxury.
Nice. So there, you can make that your name today. You can go back to that again if you want to and put it in the chat again, and we'll save them all for everybody. Just kind of a fun way to start the fact that all of these words are built around prosperity. Prosperity, keep in mind, does not always mean just money. Prosperity in life is based on pillars of life. We have many pillars like health, we have careers and hobbies, we have relationships, we have our spiritual life pillar, and we also have our financial pillar. So always remember, things are always in balance. It's not always about just having the money, but it's having the prosperity in your life and being able to have an architect abundance mindset. So you're always working towards the highest and possible good. So enjoy your name for your prosperity name this week. I mentioned 4, 14, and 7. There's a book that I'll explain in a second, Science of Getting Rich, written by Wallace Wattles, actually published in 1910. So it's not a new book by any means. And I will mention this ahead of time. I don't quote the book a whole lot, but I will during our 5-week series. But it is old language. It is gender specific, which, you know, is not what we do anymore. It talks a lot about certain kind of spiritual words and religious words that we probably wouldn't use anymore in a book. But I'll say that we will read the book as is, and everybody can change it to whatever they want to as we read through anything. So I've actually taken the PDF and changed it so that certain words are changed, so I don't have to read them, which is great. But when I became a facilitator for this, one of the things that was mentioned was that 4, 14, and 7 are the most important chapters. So if you want to read a condensed version of 17 chapters, read 4, 14, and 7. The first principle, the impression of increase, and gratitude, which would be very logical, right? So we're just going to walk through those ones today for a bit of fun, give you some highlights. By the way, this is a 17 chapter book. And believe it or not, most chapters are 2, 3, 4 pages long. So it's going to be a quick read for everybody. That won't be a problem. And it is available on a downloadable PDF. So that's kind of nice that it's just available to us as well. So just so you know who this person was, Wallace Wattles, kind of a somber looking guy, but apparently had quite a lovely life. He enjoyed marrying his high school sweetheart. They had 3 children. He was born in Indiana. He did embrace New Thought in his 20s. So he was born in Indiana and moved to Chicago and started seeing the writings of Emerson and Thoreau and attended a conference called Applied Christianity. And I just wonder if you start seeing some similarities in the Fillmores here. Applied Christianity, practical Christianity is what they went for. He started giving some Sunday night lectures to encourage living in a certain way, that whole positive mindset idea. He believed in a healthy diet. He believed in fasting. And this is something the Fillmores also went through. They believed in a time of vegetarianism and fasting situations and certain things they would walk through with Unity Village, that they would make sure that people knew that they could boost things in their body as well as being healthier for the time that they lived in. His daughter Florence wrote later on, after his death in 1911, that he lived his belief system every day. So regardless of what other people thought, he didn't worry about that. He literally said, I'm going to live this belief system. And he lived it and he proved it. He was apparently quite a wealthy man. He was beloved in his community. A lot of people came to his funeral and were expounding on how much he had taught them. So there was a give and take with him all the time that he gave back to the universe every single day. He published several books. He published several pamphlets and writings that he had, short writings, notes, that kind of thing. Science of Getting Rich, SGR is what we often call it, really became more famous because Bob Proctor took it on in the 80s and decided to make it a course to be able to take in prosperity. And that kind of rejuvenated it. And it actually was the basis of the movie The Secret. Rhonda Burns had read the Science Getting Rich and went on to write The Secret and make the movie. So that's kind of a cool thing. He also another book called Science of Being Well. So he wasn't focused only on the money pillar of life. He was focused on all wellness, all goodness, all things being positive. So he's kind of a cool guy. But what does Unity say about prosperity thoughts? And we all know Eric Butterworth, a very famous Unity minister based in New York City, and author again of many books. Spiritual Economics is the one that we've sort of looked at a lot, and several other ones we've had talks on or book studies on. And Eric says prosperity is not just having things. This is where people get tied up about money. This is the things. It is the consciousness that attracts the things. It's having the high vibration. Prosperity is a way of living and thinking and not just having money or things. Poverty is a way of living and thinking too. So we can go either way. It's always about a thought pattern. It's always about vibration and not just the lack of money or things. One of the founders of Unity, Charles Fillmore, said, the spiritual substance from which comes all visible wealth is never depleted, meaning there is a never-ending abundant universe at all times. We can't deplete that. There's a pie, it can get bigger. It doesn't have to get less than. There's always more. It is right with you all the time and responds to your faith in it and your demands on it. So think of the things we say. Think of the things we do, that we deplete things rather than to bring it up to being abundant. You know, I'll never have that. I don't have good luck. I didn't grow up that way. You know, that kind of stuff that happens, right? On the back of the book Prosperity by Charles Fillmore, it says this inspirational piece provides deep insight. So again, all the prosperity talk is not just about having dollars in your hand. It's how you circulate those things. It's how you think about those things. It's the higher vibration you're in to be able to have a prosperous mindset at all times. Oops, let's see, there's my slides gone again. Do you still see them?
Yes.
It's funny. Little gremlins again, right? Just little gremlins. So just take a second. What is your impression of money and wealth? Does it give you a high vibration? Does it make you feel like, I shouldn't be talking about that? I never did that in my family. Money creates problems. I grew up poor and we were happy. The biggest thing usually is the reference to money is the root of all evil. And that's a story in Mark in the Bible. It's actually not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love or putting money above all else that is the root of the word evil. I don't use the word evil a lot, but that's a direct quote, so I will. And wealthy people hoard their money and get richer. There's a lot of big philanthropy in this world. Sometimes we see only the negative on our news and our feeds of coming on our social media, that sort of idea. I like this one too. I need to save for a rainy day. And I was at a conference one time and somebody said, what do you get with it when you save for a rainy day? You get a rainy day. So that's what you get, right? So save for a vacation, save for a new car, save for retirement, save whatever something positive that you want to do. If we want to have a rainy day, that's what we'll get. If we're looking to save for a rainy day, it probably means something's going to release our money from us for something we don't want to give it away for, something we're not looking to spend our money on. So keep in mind that what you're saving for also has an energy attached to it. Our friend Bob Proctor says money is used for two things. One is to make you comfortable, and the more comfortable you are, the more creative you will become. The other purpose is to enable you to extend the service you provide far beyond your own presence. This is meaning that once you have no concerns about money, it's amazing what you can think about. What do most people dwell on in their life? Most people dwell on, I don't have enough money to pay the bills, go on vacation, whatever that may be. So keep in mind that it's always about making you comfortable, but also about putting it out into the world and making sure there's always an abundance mindset that's in circulation and high vibration at all times. I could listen and talk about Bob Proctor all day because he's a really cool guy. He's also Canadian, born in Northern Ontario, became a firefighter in Toronto, became an alcoholic, decided to change his ways after sort of losing family and friends out of that whole thing, and took on listening to Earl Nightingale on records they used to send from Florence Nightingale in the States was a prosperity company that would give you records to listen to or books to read. And Bob took this on. He ended up working with them and for them at later times in his life, and always embraced everything that they sent along. So another whole topic we could have at some point. I'm not getting my slides to move forward, and I don't know why. There they are. So also in Unity, of course, we want to pay attention to what the metaphysics are. So interestingly enough, when I looked up money under metaphysics, the first word that came up was prosperity. So that's somehow sort of interminglable, I guess. But it talked about the consciousness of the universe is always abundant, meaning prosperity is always available to us. It's everywhere present as a resource. It is unfailing. It's ready for all who open themselves to through belief. The belief part is usually where we get stuck. We can believe it for other people, but we don't always believe it for us, right? I have a friend who said, "Oh, I never want to win a big lottery." Like, why would you want to win a big lottery? It's such a great idea, right? You could give it away, right? No, she says it's too much responsibility, and people would be calling me that I don't even know. It's like, well, that's one idea of looking at a lottery. To me, the idea would be what can I give away? What can I support? How can I have fun with this? How can I make sure my friends and family are totally looked after? Give back to the world. That's what I would look at prosperity from a lottery. Prosperity is based on conscious possession of the idea of universal abundance. Things can come and go, and we all know that. And the things are what we think we're asking for when we're looking for prosperity or money, but it's really the idea of the abundance. The idea of abundance always endures. Things appear to appear at its command. So it's funny. Have you ever thought about making a purchase of something, let's say a new car or something, and all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of those cars around? It's like, isn't that amazing? I never saw those cars before. Everybody's buying those cars. They weren't not there before. Just you're on a vibration with them to see these things and know that you're being supported with that thought. And just reference back to Jesus as a way shower, Jesus appeared to have no visible possessions, right? He looked like he was poor, and he would wander about and visit other people, take care of the poor, the sick, the people that were downtrodden. And he didn't have any judgment about that whatsoever. But when needed, and of course, this is also a metaphysical situation with the story that we could go into, but I won't today just because of time. He supplied thousands of people with the food and drink that they needed by giving thanks to an invisible spirit that was allowing them to have plenty. So it's all about the belief system. Just in the upper right there, the metaphysical meaning of money, a medium of exchange and a measure of value, the materialization of spiritual substance. And we're going to talk about the word substance in a minute because it's in a little poem and it's awesome. So the symbol of the idea of prosperity, it's the money is the symbol only. So I mentioned the four chapters. The first principle, the impression of increase and gratitude are sort of the important chapters if you didn't want to read through the whole book, but I'm going to take you through those ones with just some quick examples today. And then of course, we'll read the entire book through this 5-week course. We're going to start on Thursday. So the fourth chapter is the first principle, to understand there is a thinking stuff. The universe is filled with a thinking stuff. So let's read this together if you'd like to say it out loud with me. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought, or imaged by the thought, sorry. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance can cause the thing they think to be created. So the idea is what's out there is thinking stuff. We can tap into it any way that we want to. It's only about our thoughts, our words. What are we saying? What are we putting out there? And there's kind of a fun graphic here that helps you sort of describe this. We have conscious and subconscious thought. Our conscious is our everyday thoughts from all of our feelings, touch, see, hearing, anything that we can get from that. Our subconscious, I always think of it as being at a bit lower level, not a lower situation, but it's been sort of pressed down. And our subconscious is more our habits, more things that maybe we were told as children, more things we were told by our religion, our parents, our family upbringing, whatever that is that would have influenced you. And sometimes those habits are actually not true. Those thoughts are not true. So our conscious thoughts, they choose, they're in its original form. We can shift them around or decide to change them. That's our opportunity. We can accept or reject them. And at some point, sometimes we say, oh, I always use that language. Maybe I should change my language. Rather than saying I can't, maybe say I can. It's the I am possible situation. Impossible becomes I am possible. In the subconscious, though, it's kind of interesting. The subconscious has to be accepted. It doesn't actually know reality. We can lie to our subconscious. So this is the whole idea of being a bit of a dreamer, being that abundance architect, is saying, what thoughts do I have to have in the conscious to make my subconscious thoughts be more positive, profitable, immediately something I can feel better about, shifting what we call the vibration. This creates vibrations, and there's all kinds of vibrations. The book Power versus Force talks about the vibration levels throughout our thinking patterns. Shame being one of the lowest. And of course, high vibrations to be philanthropy and good things in the world and making sure we're taking care of other people, that sort of idea. All of those, the vibrations create results because, of course, any effect has an equal and opposite effect. So any of the thinking we do becomes the things we think, or our habits, moves through our vibrations, becomes the results. So if you don't like the results, it might be a matter of going through and looking at the thinking patterns. Your actions are caused by what's going on in your subconscious mind. That's where all the busy goes on, and not always where we're actually paying attention to, right? It's the idea in your subconscious mind that's being manifested or expressed through your actions. I'll give you 3 examples of chapter 14. Chapter 14 is the impression of increase. I call it the fake it till you make it chapter. It means if I can't see it right now, it doesn't mean I can't think about it. Doesn't mean I can't know about it. It just doesn't mean it's not a reality to me right now. So fake it till you make it. Lots of people say, oh, I'll never have that, or that won't happen, or whatever. Then it won't. So that's good. That's a done deal, right? But if you think about certain things, I'll give you 3 little quick examples here. There's a person that decides that they'd like to have a more abundant lifestyle, but they're quite sure they can't afford anything, like to go out to a nice dinner at a beautiful restaurant. The table is set beautifully. There's lots of cutlery there, different sizes of plates to be able to use. I don't know how to use all those. I'm nervous about going in there. They'll know I can't afford this. And one of the stories in the Science Getting Rich program talks about simply choosing to go in anyway. Nobody knows who you are. So it's only about your own feelings, right? But make it different than the original thing of having to go pay for a dinner or lots of wine or anything like that. Go for a piece of pie and a coffee. Go on a Sunday afternoon and just enjoy it. But dress up to go as if you were going out for dinner. Make yourself a reservation. Sit at the chair and order what you wish to order in the sense of pie and coffee, for instance, and really think about how delicious this is going to be. When it comes to the table, unfold the cloth napkin, put it down properly, savor every morsel of the meal, except the second cup of coffee being poured into your cup. You're just there. You're just enjoying the moment. Most important thing, you're going to pay very comfortably. Take out your cash or your credit card or your debit card or whatever you use. You're also going to make sure you leave an abundant tip. That's giving back to the universe. That's letting that person that served you know how important they are in the universe. Nobody says, hey, you can't afford to be here. Hey, you don't look like you should be able to afford dinner here. That just does not happen. If you do this more than one time, several times in a row, all of a sudden, especially at the same restaurant, you get known to that restaurant anymore. You may have no more money than you had the first time you went there, but you've paid for your pie and coffee. You've sat and enjoyed it with a comfort level in this tip to whoever served you because you've had an excellent time at this event that you have created. That's the impression of increase. It's giving your mind the thought of abundance, impressing it on your subconscious. You might know the guy that's in the middle of the picture. His name is Jack Canfield. Kind of cool guy. He's written a million things, but I just want to tell you quickly his story. He had a book that he had written way back in his younger days, before computers and everything. So he typed it all out and everything. He knew he could get it copied. He just didn't know how to get it published. And short version of this story, because we don't have a lot of time today, but is that basically he went to an event, fluke, somebody invited him. At that event, he met somebody afterwards in the chatter part of Times, and they worked for a little magazine or a newspaper, I guess it is, across the country called the National Enquirer. Now, maybe not what you're thinking you want to go into to get your book published, but the National Enquirer guy said, hey, you just should put an ad in the paper, the National Enquirer, and then people can get a hold of you and ask for your book. And that's what he did. But before he did that, he had written himself a check for $100,000. He said, okay, if this book gets published, no, sorry, when this book gets published, I will make $100,000 off this book. He put it up over his bed. He saw it every morning. Again, the impression and the habit going into the subconscious, very, very good. And he did publish his book through National Enquirer. He got the inquiries and he had it copied through. He mailed it out to people. And his apology was he did not make $100,000. He made 96,425 or whatever now it was. Close enough. We're good. We're good to go. So that was the whole idea of saying, look for the wins. Don't be stuck on that number. He was pretty happy with what it turned out to be, very close to $100,000. Of course, he went on to be a very, very famous author and entrepreneur. Quick story from my life. I have tons of them, but this is a quick one. When I first joined Unity, there was a prosperity consciousness class, and we were talking about tithing and tithing being 10% and blah, 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 blah. I was not in a great place in my life. I was a single mom. I was getting by, I was learning these things as I could. And there was a challenge to put 10% aside for your spiritual home or your charities or whatever you wanted to give it to. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to take this on. Another chapter talked about paying yourself and making sure that you have something for your future, or you can cover things should anything happen where you have to shift around in life, whether you have to move or change jobs or whatever. So I did 10% to my spiritual home, and I challenged myself to doing 10% to myself and putting that away in RSPs. And I'll be 65 this year. That started when I was 41, and I still do that today. It doesn't mean I necessarily have it all the time. I just let it go first. I have the bank do it actually, so I don't have to think about it. but it did allow me to retire early, to take on some new things in my life, to do different types of works across the country, both in optometry and prosperity consciousness and team building. And it made a difference to me that that has stayed now in my subconscious. It's just a habit. It wasn't a habit at the beginning. It was uncomfortable, but it turned into a habit, which was well worth my while. The last chapter that we talk about is these three important ones is chapter 7 is gratitude. Everything always begins and ends with gratitude. We know that there's nothing we can't say thank you for, but I want to remind you of the small things. Create a vision board. Now, this is something off the internet, by the way, the one that's up here in the right-hand corner is not mine, but it said 2025 on it, so I thought it was something current. Find pictures that matter to you, places that you want to go to, things you want to achieve, health you want to have, anything that sort of you can look at and say, yeah, that's my higher vibration. And that's what this is all about, always about vibration. Maybe you want to write in a gratitude journal. I always say celebrate the small wins. Small wins are things like, well, I saw a dime on the street and I picked it up. I am more abundant this second than I was 2 seconds ago. There's nothing wrong with the small wins. All small wins are good wins. You don't have to wait for that thing. Jack Canfield didn't wait to get happy until he had $100,000. He was happy all the way through it, and he almost had $100,000 by the end. But if you wait till that end, sometimes you can be really disappointed. It's like, pay attention along the way, celebrate the small wins. NMW is non-money wins. Celebrate them too. Do you ever celebrate a good parking spot? I do. I would say, Unity parking, here I go. I just find something close to something or help somebody being able to get out and get to a store that's with me that maybe isn't as mobile as I can be. Any wins are good wins. Maybe you wake up and there's an event and it's just a sunny day. Oh, thank you. Maybe you just wake up. Thank you. These are non-money wins. There's always non-money wins to have. Always make sure you're looking for the non-money wins. And I say thank you a lot in my head, because I think we can look at non-money wins as being things that we can always be grateful for. Be aware of your words and habits. What do you say? What do you automatically think? Think about those thoughts. Shift them around if you need to. Impress them on your subconscious when you can. Always be ready for more. And I mentioned before, the pie gets bigger. People say, oh, the pie's all gone. All the slices are gone to other people. I can't have any part of the pie. So a couple ideas. The slices can be smaller to many more, or the pie can just get bigger. There's no limit to the size of the pie. The universe is entirely abundant at all times. It is never ending. Think about an open hand, both gives and receives. Generously give and generously receive in the graciousness of that. Saying thank you. I noticed that on my phone, people talk about their social media and their apps and stuff and say, oh, it's all negative. If you choose, there is positive apps to go to. I have one called I Am, and it sends me a positive thought, I don't know, every hour or something like that. It's like, oh, that's cool. Sometimes I don't even read it. I just put it away, but it's always there for me. It always gives me these positive thoughts about what I am today. And loving social media, if you're into social media, check out all the things that are good. Check out all the great things that are happening in the world. I save all the sayings on my phone. So sometimes I just go through my pictures and look at all these great sayings for things. And that's why I always have something for talks and for the Sunday talk. Bob Proctor taught me to say, I'm so happy and grateful that. I'm so happy and grateful now that means that whatever I need to put together for my thanks, I could put it in the now. It might not be here yet, but put it in the now, put it in the positive, and put it as if it has already been done. I can't wait for something means you probably won't wait for it. I'll be happy when, no, means you're never going to be happy, because there's always going to be a when attached to that. I'm so happy and grateful now that lets you have a phrase to always have gratitude for something. And as we always say, wake up saying thank you, go to bed saying thank you. It's a good world to be in. It doesn't always look that way in all the news, but it actually is a very good world, and there's lots of very, very good people. So as we wrap up that 4, 14, and 7, I just want to remind you that we'll be reading the entire book through 5 weeks, 2 hours online on Thursdays, April 3rd to May 1st, 6:30 to 8:30. This is a give what you want. There's always a suggested love offering for things, $20 a week, or pay what you can. I don't want anybody to be burdened by this. I'd rather you attend and be open-minded with everything without money being an issue to you as any kind of heavy weight at all. We'll be doing our giving online in the class if you choose to. So I'll have up the QR codes and I'll have up the website donation buttons and that kind of thing. So during the class, we can do that. If you choose to do any other time, you're more than welcome to do that. It's an old book. We have to slog through some of the wording, but it's really neat. And the chapters are very short and very small. And it's all kind of what you take from it. So I hope you'll join me and enjoy the rest of the book. If you'd like to say with me as we wrap up, I am a magnet to prosperity in every area of my life. I am open and receptive to all of it now. Important to know, you are a magnet at all times. You're open, receptive to all of it now. So let's go into a little time of meditation. We'll think about the thinking stuff, the impression of increase, and we'll think about gratitude. If you'd like to sit back, be comfortable, perhaps close your eyes if you'd like to. As we move into this time of meditation, I invite you to take a deep, rich breath. Oh, hold that. And then exhale with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for this breath. Gratitude for living in abundance. Gratitude for our unity teachings. Gratitude for a future filled with everything you can formulate from the thinking stuff. Scan your body for a moment and just move into full relaxation. Relax your shoulders down, relax your jaw, open your mind, and open yourself to fully receiving, which is always the intention of the universe of full potential. It is always there for you to tap into. 24/7, never goes away. Like Bob Proctor learned from his mentors, Conan and Nightingale. When you get comfortable and close your eyes and open your mind, you can tap into the thinking stuff. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. I kind of look at thinking stuff as a swirling, unformed cloud, maybe a little bit smoky kind of. What color would you give your thinking stuff? Is it a vibrant yellow? Maybe a royal purple? Maybe a beautiful sky blue? And a thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Imagine your thinking stuff starting to form into ideas. Ideas that put you at your highest good, your fullest potential, and your very richest self in every single pillar of life. A person can form things in their thought, and by impressing their thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing they think about to be created. Think about this for a second. What if money wasn't an issue? Just put that aside. Where would you live? What kind of home or homes would you own? What vehicle would you drive? What careers or hobbies would you love to be involved with? What vacations would you take? What countries would you visit? What nonprofits and charities would you so generously support with joy and comfort, just letting them be more profitable? What foundations would you establish? How would you generously infuse the world and those you love with your wealth? I love the movie Cinderella. It's always about positivity and imagination and belief. The song in Cinderella is, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." So take a moment to listen to your heart. Listen to the still, small voice in your heart. It's the universe saying, "I'm available. Tell me what your heart desires. I am always listening." Make a commitment. Make a commitment to spend some time each day exploring your heart dreams. It is never wasted time. It is always good for you. It always raises our vibration. Know that the universe is always there, always listening, and always wanting to give you all that you desire. Spend time on your well-being is always time well spent. As we wrap up today's talk and meditation, come back to the here and now. Gently move your fingers and toes. Maybe you want to flutter your eyes open just a little bit. And gently know that you can return to this dreaming space anytime. We can call it meditation. We can call it dreaming. You can call it whatever you want. But this is something we can always give back to ourselves. And let's take another deep, rich breath in. Breathe in love. Exhale the peace. After this meditation, we'll listen to Bob Proctor's favorite song and good advice, The Sunny Side of the Street. And to you all, I say, so it is and namaste. Thank you.